Hi, I'm Brooke with MeetRx Successful Stories, where people come and they share with us their own success on the carnivore diet. And today I'm talking to Rob, and who's going to share his story. Thank you so much, Rob.
Nice to be here. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we really appreciate your willingness to share your success.
My
So let's
pleasure.
just get started. I'm really curious. Um, What brought you to the carnivore diet? What were things like for you?
I started the carnivore diet in January 2019. So I'm a little bit over a year and a bit, a year and 2 months now. And I didn't have any major health issues like I follow a lot of the stories, and I follow Sean Baker's videos, and he's always highlighting these stories of these people who have had amazing results, right? I wasn't one of those people with these huge medical issues or weight struggles. I was always, you know, average weight and generally pretty healthy. Always kind of pretty much aware of my nutritional needs and that to a degree. But 2011, I watched Forks Over Knives, and I became obsessed, like many people do, with the vegan diet. And I thought that was the ultimate lifestyle. For some reason, I got hooked. I bought into the ideology, hook, line, and sinker, not because of the treatment of animals, but because of this. I figured the nutritional science. To me, in my brain, it was the ultimate, and I went full plant-based vegan, and that was like 8 years ago. And I had a lot of symptoms, but I did not connect the dots until I went carnivore. So I'll go forward and backwards if that's cool.
Yeah,
On
good. That's good.
Yeah, last year on January 2nd, I was really struggling. I had been to the doctors twice. I had massive headaches. Every day I had massive headaches. And I started to get very concerned, thinking I had a tumor. So for every day I would track, I would grade from 0 to 10, 10 being the worst, the pain of my headache that day, morning, afternoon, and nighttime. And I would also track the amount of Advil and Tylenol, because I was taking it every day. And I was really getting worried because this is every day. And after 5 weeks, I'm like, all right, I thought I was dying. I was convinced I was dying. I thought I had something serious because I'm very healthy. You know, my mom was Scottish lady, farmers, strong, healthy. They all lived to be 110. Same with my dad's side, never had any issues. So pretty good health. And I thought, this is it. I'm dead. 60 years old, and I thought, well, I've had a pretty good life. This is literally what was going on in my brain when I go to bed at night. So I thought I was dying, and I went to the doctor, and they did a bunch of tests, and they brought me back in, did a bunch more, drew some more blood, and I was fine. There was nothing wrong. And anyways, the night of January 2nd last year, this little voice at night, my daughter was in bed, my wife was in bed. It was about 10 at night. This little voice popped into my head and said, try the carnivore diet. I don't know where that came from. I knew of it loosely. I've seen a little bit of Sean with Joe Rogan, and I saw Dr. Peterson on the Joe Rogan podcast. I love Jordan Peterson, and he talked about it, but it never clicked with me. To me, it was like, I thought it was complete BS. I mean, your carnivore diet's complete BS. Anyways, this little voice in my head said, try it. I thought, you know what the hell, I'm going to try it. So I fried up some eggs, a bit of meat. My wife, she ate normal. She had meat. And the next day I woke up with no headache. And at lunch, I repeated that, and I had a carnivore lunch. And then later that afternoon, I called my wife. I went to the butcher shop. I bought some steaks, and I called her. I said, you're not going to believe this, but we're having steaks for supper. I said, I know. I said, bear with me, be patient, but my headaches are gone. It's only been day one. And I'm going to give this a shot. And I said, I'm going to try it for a week. A week went by, 0 headaches. I felt great, started really researching it at that time. And that's how I got fully immersed into the carnivore diet. I had no side effects with the carnivore diet. Some people have side effects. I eat a bit of dairy, but my gratitude went through the roof because of that. So I had such a wonderful feeling of discovery and health that there's no inclination. I don't struggle with it at all. It's, to me, it's like, you know, I keep thinking, okay, there's got to be maybe something to this that's not right. I'm always researching, always watching plenty of videos, and all these doctors on YouTube. There's so many of them, and these conferences they have. I'm constantly watching them. I'm just looking to educate myself more and more on it, because it's like the meat diet. I'm such a pariah with my family, all my friends, everybody I know. They look at me like I'm a freak.
Yes. Yeah.
But I'm healthy, and now I look back, all the problems I had when I was on the vegan diet, man, I'm just connecting the dots. I multiple times, at least 3 times, I went to see a physiotherapist because of sore joints, left arm, right arm, and the summer before I went carnivore, my left knee, for 2 days, I was actually using a cane. My left knee just flared right up from an old wound from when I was 17 years old, falling down a flight of stairs. And it came back, and nothing of that nature has happened to me ever since I switched diets. And you know, my teeth felt weak, my mood was nihilistic, and I had this low-grade depression, which is very rare for me. Always been a very optimistic, upbeat kind of guy, and sleep like a baby. Like, I was really having sleep issues too. So overall, my health just shot through the roof, and like I had mentioned, that underlying sense of I'm not dying. I thought I was dying, and like, that's all. It was my diet.
It must have been so exciting those first few days when all of a sudden you don't have a headache and you just switched.
I couldn't believe it.
It was like obvious.
I couldn't believe it, and my wife too, and I kept waiting for something weird to happen. I was like, this is wrong. You can't eat all meat. I'm gonna grow a third eye, or I'm gonna get some sort of scales are gonna show up, or something weird, some side effect is gonna happen to me. I kept expecting something, but my health just got better and stronger. And as a side bonus, I lost 20 pounds in 3 months, and that was not why I went into it, you know, but it just, I went down to the weight that I'm now. I weigh now, I'm 61. I weigh now what I weighed when I was 18. So I'm 170 pounds. So.
That's awesome. Do you notice any other strength changes, like the body composition or anything?
Yeah, I almost forgot about this one. And I mentioned this in the first 3 months of going on this diet. I was telling this to my wife, not only the mental clarity, I feel like I'm a wolf, but my eyesight improved, and my sense of smell, and my hearing. I don't know about my sense of taste, but hearing, smell, and my eyesight. And I just feel like everything is sharper, more attuned. If I go to a restaurant and I sit in the middle of a restaurant that's packed, it drives me bonkers because I can hear everything around me. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that ties into being into ketosis of sorts or whatever it is, but all my senses are attuned, and it just everything feels good. And you know, I wish I'd have discovered this when I was 20. I would have taken on this lifestyle back then. But overall, I wasn't that bad. I mean, my lifestyle was pretty decent, but I just, yeah, that was some extra side benefits that I mentioned, and absolutely love it.
So it's like those headaches ended up being kind of a gift.
They were.
Kind
It was like, thank you. Yeah, it's a weird way to look at it, but yeah, it was a gift.
In fact, like, did you ever speak to a physician about those headaches?
Oh yeah, I went last year, well, the year before, in the fall, before I discovered all this, for my regular yearly physical, and he drew blood, the normal thing. And I get back home, and my wife's like, did you not ask about the headaches? And this was early on in the headache game. I said, it was only like 2 weeks in. I said, no, I didn't bother. He said, you should go back. So I went back, and they ran all the tests, and I know what they were doing. They were running tests to look for some sort of a tumor, and they ran more blood tests to look for specific, whatever they looked for. And there was nothing, there was nothing to indicate that I had anything wrong with me. So You know, obviously it was something to do with what I was eating. Inflammation, high glucose, always being in that state of almost like heading towards pre-diabetic, probably. That's probably where I was heading, but something in there was linked to my diet and those headaches. So
Did you experience any? No, I had heard that maybe you experienced some teeth things. Is that true?
yeah. Well, I've noticed, and again, I'm connecting the dots after the fact, but I remember my first year being a vegan, my front teeth and the front lower teeth felt like they were flaking. They were coming apart. I could feel it with my tongue. And I remember thinking, no, you know, it's just because I'm getting older. You know, a lot of this, I was like, oh, I'm just getting older. I'm getting arthritic and can't sleep. And, you know, it's just middle age hits you emotionally as well. It's hard, especially for men. It's hard, you know, because you kind of lose touch with your sense of purpose and your virility and all of that stuff. All made worse 110,000% by being on a vegan diet. Worst mistake. I look at that as the worst mistake I've ever done in my entire life, being on a vegan diet, because I really, really didn't do myself any favors or a service by going that way. I thought I was.
How long were you on the vegan diet?
7 years, from 2011, right after Forks Over Knives came out. I watched it, and up until, you know, January 2nd of 2019, so last year, where I just flipped full carnivore, and I've been full carnivore since. Like, no cheating. No, I have no desire to cheat. No, like, my wife will eat chips and I get like 0.5% tempted. And whatever, potatoes and rice and all the noodle. I used to love pasta. I have no sense of succumbing to or struggling with those cravings. So
Yeah, because it feels so good to feel good.
that's a good way to put it. It feels so good to feel good. So I would have to say the only struggle, if there's anything, it's the social struggle. It's, you know, you get in with a group of people and they'll look at you like, oh, it's, you know, one lady a couple of months ago said, how's that keto bullshit going? I mean, really? Really?
And you got to say, I'm not keto, baby. I'm carnivore.
Yeah. Well, that's how they associated carnivores,
Right.
like an extreme version of keto, it would seem. But whatever. I love carnivore. I love the lifestyle. I love the simplicity. And I tell people, I often say this, I don't live to eat. You know, this would be really hard if you were a foodie. I don't live to eat. I eat to live. And I started eating sardines last year. I hate sardines, but I started learning to love sardines. So I'm mostly beef, and I buy tallow and sardines because I don't like eating liver and all those other foods. And but I feel I should be getting some extra variety in there. So I'll eat sardines.
So it's mostly beef and salt water for you then?
Salt and pepper, and sometimes butter. I'll have some eggs and sometimes cheese, but 90% beef. I'm trying to convince my wife to buy a freezer, and we're going to buy half a cow, you know, grass-fed cow.
Yeah. So do you eat fish or?
A little bit, just sardines, you know, salmon maybe once every 4 months. My wife loves salmon, and I'll eat it, but I really like beef. I just love beef.
I love beef.
It's the best.
I mean, I eat lamb and I eat but I really love beef.
Yeah. So, and it seems to me, from what I've researched and from, you know, people like Sean Baker and all these other people, that beef seems to be the best, one of the best choices. And that's good. And I love hamburger, and hamburger is cheap. You know, I buy the fattest hamburger I can buy, you know, medium ground. And if I buy lean accidentally, or if my daughter goes out and buys some food for me and she buys lean hamburger, I have to fatten it up. So
yeah, there's something special about the ruminant for us.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's the only downside I would say is the social pariah. You know, you're really frowned upon by society, and they look at you sideways. And
What do you do for that? Do you like bring your own steak to a party, or what do you do?
when we're invited out, um, good friends will know. People who we don't know that well, I will just flat out come out and tell them. I'll say, look, I know this is going to sound weird, but you know, I'm a meat guy. Uh, is it okay if we talk about, you know, what's going to be served? Because you know, I want to get my meat on, but because if they're having pasta, I'm not going to eat it. It's not going to eat it. I would rather, if it was an accidental situation where I ended up going out and there was not any meat, I just wouldn't eat. And I'd be okay with that. I mean, I would skip a meal. No big deal. It's so easy to do on this diet, you know? It's so easy to do. You go
It's so easy.
12, 14 hours without any hunger. It's absolutely incredible. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love your story. I
Well,
love
thank you.
it really kind of underscores the ease of it.
Yeah, it's easy. And I love listening and hearing and reading about all these other stories, you know, on the blog and whatnot. And it's so inspiring. And, but if it's almost like as if I call it my near-death experience was the headaches. It's almost like as if most people who are on this diet, I would say about 90% of them have had a near-death experience, huge health problems. I don't know what your story is, but it seems to be like I'm in the small percentage of people. Well, I guess you could say the headaches were a near-death experience.
My
Yeah.
story, that it was a death experience of someone close to me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Oh, from health issues
yeah,
related to diet.
yeah.
So that would
Well,
be that would be a near-death experience. But if
yeah,
you, if
definitely
like,
a near-death experience. Yes.
yeah. So, but if I'm talking to somebody just in general and they're curious, like I won't bring it up. I've decided that many, many months ago. I'm not bringing this up because I was excited about it at first, but no, people just look at me kind of weird. But if they're curious about it, I'll talk to them. And most people have no inclination to want to give up the North American diet, even if they're eating a quote unquote balanced diet. And which is a lot of people and a lot of unhealthy people out there. And, you know, they're pre-diabetic, 20, 30 pounds overweight, possibly with some heart problems coming down the road, or as Ivor Cummings says, the wheels are starting to fall off.
Yeah, they fostering cancers to different parts of their body, possibly.
Yeah. So there's no desire to give up their ways. So it's like as if that near-death experience is the leverage that, well, it certainly worked for me. And from what I understand from a lot of other people, you know, it worked for them. And carnivore diet seems to be the most natural, healing, balanced, health-inducing lifestyle. And I'm just so glad I'm in it.
I'm glad you are too. I want to ask you something. Does it affect your relationships? Like
No,
your mood, or like, are you better equipped
I'm
with,
better.
yeah.
That's a weird question, by the way, but
I
and
know.
I think it's a valid question. Uh, I'm married 25 years now, and my wife and I work together. She was an accountant, and she quit her job, and we run a photography business. We're self-employed. It's a good life, and we've always gotten along pretty much. I mean, you have to with you're working with your spouse all the time. I have found that my mental acuity and capacities have increased. It's going to sound weird, but I think I'm a better man for it because I'm more aware. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I hear you. Mm-hmm.
I'm a
Yeah.
stronger man, so I take on more positive masculine traits. Does that not sound weird or what? But
I hear what you're saying. You can sort of, you're like, you can do it. You can
I
show
feel
up.
confident, and you know, women like that in a man. They like a confident man. I mean, I was a wimp. I was more of a wimp before. I was just in that nihilism. I was just going into a dark place. It was awful. And I know it was my diet. I absolutely 100% link it to that vegan diet. It was affecting my mental health in a big way. I go to bed, I sleep like a baby, 8 hours every single night. Every single night. And I wake up, I feel like I'm ready to take on the day. I feel like being a good husband to my wife. I feel like doing whatever it is we need to do to make our life better, to make our business better, to make our experiences, our family life better. All of these things are improved. And it helps communication, it helps my mood, and it helps strengthen our family and our relationship. And it's hard to say, how do you tie that in to a carnivore diet? But it ties in, it does, and I think having the qualities there originally, which I believe I've had, were strengthened by eating right and having the right lifestyle.
That's so awesome. I think it ties in it's a more wholesome thing, and you feel more. Wholesome. You're just whole and healthy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
A calm, confident. Like I said earlier, I feel like a wolf, and I feel like I can take on anything. I really, really do. And I'm not scared. Nihilism was a really bad, and I was a stranger to that feeling, but there was a lot of that in my life, but that's gone. And I just feel so ready to take on the day. I'm 61 years old. There's a part of me that says, damn it, I wish I'd have felt this way when I was 22, but whatever, it is what it is. And I feel good. I feel like anything's possible. And again, it's hard to relate that, but it's totally linked to being on the right nutritional regimen. Absolutely 100%. So I'm not giving it up. I have no inclination to giving it up. When I go out, I manage it. If I go out to a restaurant, my wife knows we're going to a steak place or a hamburger place, because that's what I'm going to order. And I always quiz the waiter or waitress, do you guys, can I get an extra patty with cheese and bacon and an egg on top? No bun. And that's the way it is. And it's just the way I manage it. And I'm not inclined to change it in no way, shape, or form.
And that sounds awesome. And that sounds like a phenomenal success.
Cool.
Thank you. That's
Thank
awesome.
you. I appreciate it. So life is good.
Very nice. Thank you. Thank you, Rob.
All right. Take care.
Take care. Appreciate it. Bye.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Are you still recording? Oh, you are recording.